down the street, on down the street, on down the street, on down the street. Should knock you off your feet. On down the street. On down the street. On down the street. On down the street.
Right. Well, welcome back to the Player One podcast. I am your host, Squid, and today I am joined by the one and only Phyphr. How's life been treating you, man? How you doing?
I'm doing good. Yeah, thanks for having me on. I appreciate y'all.
Yeah, man. Of course. You're from North Carolina, right?
Yeah, North Carolina is home, man. I miss it. I live in Colorado now, but I miss everybody from back home, and I love it out here too. But North Carolina always hold a special place in my heart.
Yeah,
Lived
for sure.
in Wilmington for like the last 10 years, so that's my family.
Sick, man. What brought you out to Denver? Was it the same thing that usually brings people out there? Like all the good vibes and the snow and everything.
Yeah, I mean, mostly like I had just been taking trips out here with friends from Wilmington and from all over, and with my girlfriend Roxy for a while to see shows and go to Red Rocks, and over time I met a lot of people out here, and had a lot of friends out this way too, and I just really loved all the venues and the scene and everything, and with my style of music and stuff, it seemed like a logical place to perhaps make a next step in my musical journey. So me and Roxy, she's an artist too. She makes all this amazing art. It's Awakened Creations Art is her page and her brand and everything. But she wants to follow her dreams as much as I want to follow mine, and together we kind of took this step and got a U-Haul, filled it up with everything that we didn't sell, to help us move out here and stuff, and even put our car on a trailer behind the U-Haul, and it's just a long cross-country drive. But I'm happy we got out here, and ever since we did, it's been really, really great. Everybody we've met out here is amazing, and the music is amazing as well. So
yeah, man. I mean, it's such a creatively rich place too. I feel like a lot of people go out there to either pursue a career in a lot of creative fields, and or just kind of fully envelop themselves in that environment of just being surrounded by so many creative minds and mentalities.
yeah, I think it's really cool, and it's inspirational. Like, everybody that you meet is like working on their project or honing their craft, or really like growth oriented and focused, and it's really like amazing to like be around so many people that have a dream and are following it. I mean, that's what my project's really about in the first place, is like, when I play a show, like really what I want is like, it's not about me. Like, I get the personal awesome experience of being able to play music for beautiful people, and like, but the real reason behind like why I started Phyphr is because I was at Halloween in 2017, and I saw like Grizz play, and like FKJ play, and like Manic Focus live band, and I left that festival literally in the car, like downloaded garage bands in my laptop, because I was like, yo, I have to like do this. I was so inspired. And like, if somebody who sees me play at any point in time decides that like that's the point in time they're gonna pick up their guitar, whatever that is for them, could be anything, it doesn't have to even be art, whatever their dream is, if they start chasing that, that's the change I'm looking for through the music. And I think that a world full of people who are following their dreams and believing in themselves and having that level of confidence with whatever they want to achieve in life, I mean, that's like what I think changes the world.
Dude, absolutely. And music is such a universal language in every way of the sense, like I feel like anybody that goes to shows, festivals, whatever, even if you're not inspired to pursue that specifically, you're still inspired in one way, shape, or form, just because of like, I don't know, the passion brought into the scene in particular is insane to me. Like the people that push the boundaries every day, there's just always something, and as soon as you think that it can't go any further, it does. It's insane.
Every time, man, every time. It's like, it's amazing, like what people are capable of. And, you know, so many people put their heads together and collaborate, and like, you know, people's styles grow over time, and, you know, it turned into this conclusion you couldn't have arrived at without the journey that took you there. So it's like, I don't know, man, we're all just evolving together and helping each other evolve in that sense. And yeah, I mean, and this, you know, one thing that like North Carolina and Wilmington have in common with Colorado is there's a certain level of like intentionality, and like nobody's really out here like in this scene or in North Carolina in that scene that isn't like really there for the right reasons. People can like see through that, you know what I mean? It's like people want to grow the genre, people care about where it's going to be in 10 years, like, you know, people care about people being able to follow their dreams and be the person that they, you know, want to be. And like we're all just like fostering like kind of a beautiful community through music and art. I think it's awesome. Like I just really am honored to be a part of it, you know.
Yeah, absolutely, man. Well, I mean, this is the second time we've had an artist on the podcast that implements, you know, live instruments into their sets, which I think is so cool. And also the first time I've had somebody on the podcast with the same name as me. So I'm glad you're here.
Yeah,
It's tight as
that's
fuck.
awesome.
Dude, your 2022 has already been so fucking busy. You did Gem and Jam and Brain Quality all in one weekend, like not too long ago. I think it was like what, less than 2 weeks ago? Dude, how do you
Yeah,
manage something like that?
well, to be honest, that was a really stressful weekend for me. And it didn't completely turn out the way I wanted it to. Like I left out of Denver, right, and took a flight that was supposed to get me to Jacksonville. But before I could get there, I had to stop at a connector stop, which was in Dallas, Texas. And it snowed like as soon as my plane landed, okay, and I was at my connector stop, it started snowing. And then everything got delayed, and then eventually canceled. I couldn't get out of Dallas Fort Worth Airport for 30 hours. I ended up missing my set at Branquility, unfortunately. And
No
then
way.
yeah, and I had to eventually be like, well, there's no way I'm gonna make it there. And I had to focus on getting to Tucson for Gem and Jam. And my flight for that got canceled too. And so I was like, what am I gonna do? I ended up meeting 7 strangers at the airport who were on my flight to Tucson, and we rented a car and drove 14 hours overnight and made it to Tucson. I ended up getting to play my set at Gem and Jam. Thank God. But you know, yeah, I was really bummed to actually miss Branquility. It was supposed to be this really smooth travel for like a couple days and get both places, and it was all supposed to work. But yeah, the snow in Dallas, Texas messed me up.
I
It's
was
like,
gonna say I'm still hung up on that part of the story.
yeah, it was crazy. Yeah, so you know, sometimes it's really hectic, and sometimes it's not all you want it to be, but you just have to like, you know, be able to take a deep breath and like do what you can with every situation, and you know, not let it like frustrate you or like, you know, mess up like your mood for the sets you do have to play and stuff. But yeah, travel is definitely tough sometimes, and this is really like my first like year being this level of busy with playing shows and like trying to produce and that kind of thing. So yeah, I mean, lessons learned, you know, I mean, just in general, like, you know, doubling down on a weekend, there's more to think about than just getting your plane tickets. You gotta check the weather where your connector's at. I'll
Yeah,
never
for
not do that
sure.
again.
Oh my god. I mean, I hope that the 7 strangers pulled up to the fest as well after that
Yeah, they
whole
were all going to
debacle.
Gem and Jam.
Let's go.
They came to the set and everything. And then now I've got some lifelong friends that you know, we shared a pretty like unique experience together. So I don't think anybody will ever forget about that. Um, but yeah, so you know, sometimes it's just like crazy. I feel really bad about missing that set at Branquility because, you know, Sewanee, that's where I realized my passion for this music and made the choice to, you know, go forward in this industry. And, specifically I was supposed to play the amphitheater. So like that was like yeah, I mean that was like my dream. Like I'd never even been to Gem and Jam before, and like now that I have, it's a sick festival. I had an amazing time there. I'll be going back every year, but you know, to miss that amp like kind of like ripped my heart out a little bit. You
Yeah,
know,
it's definitely a very unique venue. I actually still haven't even been, but it seems like more and more is happening there. Like, I mean, Tipper and Friends is there this year too, which is crazy. I thought
yeah.
that previously, I mean, earlier or before this year, I thought it was just Halloween, but I could be wrong. So,
Yeah, they do like a couple other like Tipper and Friends like size festivals there. There's like Swanee and Friends or something like that,
oh, I do
which
remember that one. Yeah.
which is like it might not even be called that. It's something like that where it's like really focused on the jam aspect, which I haven't been to that one. Or Swanee Rising maybe. Um, but yeah, there's like some other festivals that happen there too. Um, but as far as like electronic music goes, like you know, Hula, Branquility, Tipper and Friends, like you know, that kind of stuff is awesome.
And I mean, speaking of unique experiences, you've been on the road with the Floozies too for that's what I call a tour.
Oh yeah, dude, those guys are awesome, man. I really I gotta tip my hat to him, thank him. You know, putting me on that tour was it's not only been a lot of fun, but a really you know great experience to be growing from. I feel like every show I go and play in a new city in a new venue, you know, it's like you learn so much, you know, from the sound guys and, you know, from everybody who works at that venue and from the Floozies and from their tour manager, Travis, and from, you know, Rich and Spencer and Chandler. You know, their whole team is just top notch. And I look up to all of them very much. So to be able to share my art at the same stage as they're sharing their art. And like after I talk to them, knowing that you know they're really in it for the right reasons and they really just love this shit. uh our teams have just really gotten along, you know, it's been a blast so far.
That's so great, man. I'm glad to hear it. Um, one thing that I've always been curious about what you do, given what you do and playing guitar as well as DJing, um, when it comes to your DJ sets, does one thing take priority over the other in terms of like your jam and your improv or the songs that you pick when you live mix?
It's yeah, it's like a balance, you know. Like one thing I definitely stack the deck a little bit for myself ahead of time. You know, like when I'm creating like my Ableton like live project, um you know, there's a little bit of like planning to it where it's not so off the cuff. I have like, you know, songs I know work together well. I have spots that I know an audible could happen very easily depending on what the crowd wants in the moment. So like, I kind of build my sets that way. It's like, you know, one song I know I want to play there at this like around this point in my set, and then like options that could come after that based on like which way I want to take it. Um, and yeah, like the biggest part is like, you know, practicing transitions on like all of your options ahead of time. So that way, like no matter what you want to choose on stage, like you're well versed and like prepared for that. And then also like making sure that just like on all the songs I want to play guitar on, I'm just like well rehearsed and like, you know, sometimes like it's been like a week and I haven't really practiced since I played my last show. I haven't really practiced or whatever. And like it's super important for me to just like sit down with the guitar, even if I've played a song a million times, just to like close my eyes and pretend I'm on stage and like get that level of rehearsal in. Cause
Right.
I don't know. It's I want to do like new and exciting things on guitar every time. And like I want to come up with like new lick ideas and I want every set to be like different enough, you know? So it's like, I don't know, a combination between planning and rehearsal, but still giving yourself a chance to improv on stage and like feel like that city and that venue and that group of people because it's always different and it's always really fun to just like vibe with them and do something kind of outside the box, you know?
Right. Just kind of be in the moment and do what you feel is right.
Yeah, but like with some guidelines, you know what I mean?
Oh,
Like,
absolutely. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. So it's a balance. I used to get like really nervous before I went on and played. And somewhere on this Floozies tour, I've lost that a little bit. I still get nervous, but like it's kind of also mixed with excitement. And maybe it's just that at this point I recognize that it's been excitement, you know what I mean? But I stopped worrying so much about like, what if I make a mistake, or like what if I hit the wrong note? And like, I don't know. You just have to remember that like if this is what you want to do, you gotta get up there and do it. And like you can't like be focused on the negatives. Like this life is so fun and the shows are so fun and all the people are so amazing. And it's not about whether or not you do good on stage. Like sure, like you gotta give it everything you got every time. But like what's more important is like somebody who's at that set like might meet the love of their life, or might like meet their best friend, or like might like come to a self realization, or you know like zone out in some conversation with somebody that they've never talked to before, or an old friend. Like some of the best sets I've seen that I've just been there as a consumer for, like even though I'm pretty hyper focused on like what's going on stage because I'm trying to pick up things, it's like the best
Yeah.
sets I've been to, like I couldn't even do that. Like I got zoned out, having an amazing time, and it was all kind of like a blur, you know.
Yeah. What are some of those for you?
My favorite sets of all time. Oh man. Well,
Give me like a top three. You don't have to pick like your favorite.
well, I really like I liked Grizz a lot live in the era between 2017, 2019. I saw him probably 20 times in that time span.
20 times.
Yeah. Me and my girl just like really love Grizz. Still do. Like I'm wearing a Grizz hat right now. I love Grizz. But that point in time, I wasn't so busy with my own project. Like we were consumers and we were going to shows and having a blast. So my favorite like show from that era was probably Grizz Rocks. I really like all every time he hits that venue, Red Rocks, it's just special. Um, I've also I also really liked Manic Focus live band in the Amp in Sewanee. Uh, I've seen that there like maybe like a couple of times, but my favorite one was probably in, so now I can't remember if it was 2017 or 2018. But I mean that's probably one of my favorite like acts in general. And like like see Manic Focus or Manic Focus live band, like it's that's awesome. And then I don't know, like every time I see like Closey, it's amazing. Even this past year when they did Closey with Opio at Red Rocks, like that was definitely in the top 3 shows I've seen.
Yeah, that sounds crazy.
Yeah. I mean, it's kind of like hard to decide. Like I've seen some Floozies shows that have absolutely blown my mind. Um, it's just I've seen everybody so many times at this point. It's like hard to like pick like that shit. But
Yeah,
yeah,
they
I
kind
mean,
of blend together, right?
these are all musicians that I highly like look up to. You know what I mean?
Yeah, for sure, man. I mean, I can say one of those for me was seeing Tipper in at Camp Bisco.
Oh yeah,
When he debuted his projection mapping on top of the tent at the main stage there.
oh yeah, I heard
That
about.
was one of the craziest experiences of my life because we were in the pit for it, and he started, screen's still black, and everybody behind us is yelling, and we just figured that they were super excited, and then we heard somebody turn the fuck around, look up, and everybody's looking at the ceiling, and there's just all this crazy shit going on. I just like those experiences for me, like where there's like that overwhelming like over stimuli of just everything happening all at once is just so mind-blowing all the time.
Yeah, no, it's amazing, dude. It's amazing. I I love going to shows and festivals. I love when like they it's cool to play them. I love playing them. Sometimes it's also just like sick to just go to them and not have to work for the weekend and just like be there, take your shoes off, just like hang with your friends and stuff. And like, I don't know, man, that's what changed my life to begin with. So it's like I try not to ever like forget to like just go and enjoy it too. It's like there's always a certain amount of stress or whatever with playing the show, and then once it's over, it's like you gotta transition from Phyphr to Nick. You know what I mean? It's
Yeah,
so
right.
important to like make that distinction, draw that line in the sand.
Yeah,
I
you got
think,
to detach from work mode every once in a while, and even though it's still connected to work mode, enjoy the things that you love the most.
yeah, it's like I feel like that's like that keeps me sane. Like just like not like when I'm not Phyphr, I'm Nick, and like I'm try to always make that distinction, and like that time that like I get to be Nick and like hang out with just everybody, just like for real, with no work involved or like no like music involved or no like goals involved, like just like be and have fun. Like that's my favorite. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like
man. And I
I
feel like
love both
people,
sides, but yeah.
yeah, dude, I feel like people have been struggling with that recently. Like I talked with a lot of friends about work in general and just kind of like that balance between work and play. And
Mhm.
I don't know why. I don't know if it's because of COVID, but it just seems like since COVID, people are having a really tough time finding that for themselves.
Yeah, I mean it's tough too because like a lot of people, myself included, like got stuck like in the house and basically like working from home or like computer oriented jobs and stuff. Like in addition to like music, I run like Facebook ads and that kind of thing. And so like I don't know, like everybody's like home life and like professional identity all of a sudden like had to like mix.
Right.
It's like people were doing their job in the same room that they would normally watch TV or like hang out with friends. Or like for me, it was like I was running ads in the same seat I was producing music in. So I think that like for everybody who like went through something like that in the pandemic, like that sense of like identity or like multiple things that you did under one identity kind of just like mesh together. I don't know how like mentally helpful or like healthy that was.
No, but I mean, I feel like that happened to everybody at some point, you know?
Yeah, yeah,
Um,
exactly.
yeah, dude, it's crazy. I mean, getting back to your project in general, one of the things that I was curious to ask you about is we've been seeing more and more artists kind of try to implement live instruments. You got like Josh T with the violin, you got Alexander
Yeah,
Lewis with his trombone, you got like
yeah,
Jason Leach with the keyboard.
yeah,
Um,
exactly.
what about your project do you think sets you apart from that and makes your like performances and music unique?
um that's tough, man. It's like I think that a lot of it comes from like the styles that each person grew up on and their like roots in general. It's like a lot of like licks that like I play a lot on like guitar. I've pulled from like guitarists I've looked up to and like kind of like adapted them, or like over time they've found their way into like my repertoire of like licks I could choose. And the same thing's true for like Josh or like Jason, but like on their own instruments probably. So like my like favorite guitar players are probably like I really love John Mayer's blues stuff. Like his licks are like I mean it's like big influence for me. Or like I really like Joe Satriani when he gets fast with it. Like I can't always get that fast or like even like match up close to him, but like pulling some like inspiration from like him. And then like also like Wes Montgomery, like that dude played jazz. He didn't use a pick or his fingers, he only used his thumb for every note. So like that sound, like these are all things that inspired me and inspired my playing over time. Like for Jason and Josh, like they probably have like their own like set of inspirations and stuff. But as far as like presenting like an instrument live goes, I think they both do it very well. We're at a point in the industry where we're seeing a lot of people really do instruments and electronic really well. Um, so like I'm always looking for ways to kind of separate myself from the pack, and not necessarily to be like better or something, but just to have my own like signature sound is kind of like what I'm chasing. And like a lot of it has to do with these little Ableton like tricks that I've built to like make my guitar like sit really well with the mix. So like what I mean by that is like when I drop a track and it's playing, whenever I hit the guitar on it, the track, I have it set so it ducks just like a tiny bit, you know, make room for the guitar. I do that using sidechain compression, just like pretty lightly. And what it ends up resulting in is gain reduction on the song, but with the exact attack and release that I'm hitting my guitar with at that tempo.
Dude.
And I'm able to like have my guitar not have to be so like loud in order to like come over the top and like cut
Right.
through, or like to shave off like everything under like 100 to 125 hertz, like, and make that side chain only happen in those hertz ranges and leave the sub bass alone, like really creates like a natural, like the guitar sits with the mix. And then like to like widen the guitar so that way the signal is duplicated and comes in like on the sides a little bit, lets that bass come like right through the middle and still hit you through those subs and stuff, but like in your ears hear that guitar is technically getting to them at a different millisecond timing than the sub bass. So it's like there's ways to set up your instrument with your songs so that way you're utilizing like all that a big system could like provide for a listener. And like on the flip side, it's like if you send everything just like straight up the middle, all at the right exact same milliseconds and stuff, like it can get kind of muddy. So like over time, like the more speaker systems like I get to sound check on and play on and stuff, I'm like always making changes. And then at the end of my set, I hit, you know, collect all and save. And then it's like when it's time to make my next set, what I'm doing is I'm, you know, saving as my next set, deleting everything in there except the parameters, and then just like putting new songs in there in different orders and stuff. But like the set is essentially like always living, always breathing, always like growing, based on like as many venues as I hit. And I guess like that's similar to like impulse response technology, where like people can mic different, like they could take a mic and put it in 30 different spots in a room that has some sort of like source signal. Like say somebody's playing piano is a good example. If you mic a room in 30 different spots while the person's playing the same thing, and you analyze that data in a program that can like understand it, you end up with like a recreated almost like reverb, except it's the ambiance of the room, you
Right.
know. So like it's kind of similar. It's like if you like save after every set, you're basically getting like that, eventually you're getting like to the average of like how your shit could sound best in most places. So I don't know, that's kind of like one thing I take a lot of pride in, is like my actual Ableton set and like how it works. So like I don't know, I haven't really looked under the hood at like that many people doing instrument electronic stuff to like really compare, but I'm sure they're all kind of on the same wavelength, but everybody does it differently and everybody's tones are different. And I don't know, creating a signature sound is sort of like a weird thing. It's like you kind of like just like find it, and then it's like not always completely explainable, I guess.
No, I mean, I totally get that, but dude, the sidechain manipulation is such a genius idea, because I can't tell you how many times I've been at a show where there is a performer doing the same sort of thing, and I'm like, why isn't it louder? Like the lows are so fucking loud, I can't hear what's going on, and it's so
Yeah.
frustrating because it's like, isn't that like half of the show? Like, I
Yeah,
want to see what you could do.
right. Yeah, it's definitely like, I don't know, every performance is different too, you know. It's like rooms. One thing I've like really realized is that when you sound check a room, it's empty. And then when you play the show, it's not. And the difference that exists between an empty room and a room full of bodies is crazy. Like
It's
the
huge.
sound is completely different. So like I don't know, like there's a lot of variables, and like every room reverberates differently, or like an outside stage does not at all potentially. um yeah, there's just like a lot of variables that could influence like sound and stuff. Really just being, having the opportunity to be on tour with like, people I look up to and stuff, and be able to ask questions and like learn, like that's like I feel like the piece I was missing to like help me really like hone my sound and like how it is presented live. um but yeah, that's it. Just I guess it just like comes with experience and stuff. Like I feel like my sound is much better than it was even just a year ago. Like that's sort of like my goal, is just like over time be able to produce in the studios, that way it sounds good on big speakers and also translates at home when people are listening, and like understanding like mixing mastering techniques that really work live versus like really work well for like smaller speakers. And then like the same thing's true for your performance. Like how do you make this like feel huge versus just like kind of like flat on a big speaker system? Yeah, I don't know, it's something I'm still learning.
Dude, that's awesome though. I mean, there is a lot that goes into it. I feel like you can never be a professional as long as you do it, you know?
Yeah, well, there's this venue in Asheville called Salvage Station, and I was playing there. I've played there a couple times, once with Manic Focus, once with the Floozies, um, all in like the past year. And there's this sound guy there who's just legendary, goes by Scarecrow. And
I
every
love
time
that.
I'm there, the dude just like takes me under his wing for like our sound check, and like he'll like, be talking to me on his talk back from the booth, and he'll be like, I'm seeing this frequency range potentially causing some problems. Like, do you want to, like roll it down on your guitar? And like, then I'll boost at that range, and like together we'll like fix this issue. And I'm like, yeah, like right on. Like, tell me, where you want me to boost? He's like, between 2,000, 3,000, like give that like a decibel. And then like, you know what I mean? Like he's got like real tips for like my guitar EQ that have made my guitar really come across better. And like he really helped me like create an EQ that really worked for like my pickups and my sound, and like the kind of like I like to hit like all these like harsh, like dissonant, like notes with bends and stuff that like kind of add this like texture, and like they can get sharp sometimes with like harmonic frequencies. And like he's helped me create this like EQ that kind of makes it have like real like beef and not be so shrill, even like no matter what I'm playing. So it's, I don't know, everywhere you go there's somebody who you can just really learn from. That's the name of the game, man.
Yeah. Yeah,
Pick up
dude.
everything you can from everybody around you. Just make sure you're always learning. Like it's important to have the attitude when you show up, like you don't know shit, you know what I mean? Like you're there to, especially when you're like first to three on Floozy's tour like I am. It's like you're there to learn, be respectful, and like cut your teeth. So
Yeah,
that's,
all I know is that we need some more scarecrows at some of these venues, man.
bro, they're there, bro. Maybe like Scarecrow's special, but like I don't know, I feel like so many artists don't take the time to talk to the sound professionals, or like have a working relationship with them. Like honestly, like I feel like everybody should show up just like stoked if they get a sound check. It's like so many times like you just don't. And to get a sound check that's long enough to like talk to some sound engineers that work at like these venues, like that's where you're gonna like get your real knowledge on like how to fix your issues, or like how to improve. Like you can kind of like Google it all day, but I don't know, some of those old school sound engineers from like, you know, these venues are like, they just know, you know.
Absolutely, man. Well, dude, let's talk about the show. I mean, we've mentioned it a few times now. For those of you listening, we have the Manic Focus show coming up on February 25th at the main course. If you were at the Daily Bread show, it's the same venue. You got Manic Focus, Phyphr himself, Choppy Yoppy, Terra Chrome, and I think it's Dare or D Hair. I was told that it was D Hair, but I feel like that sounds wrong, so I apologize if I'm getting that wrong. It's gonna be a phenomenal show. Tickets are going fast right now. And really want to see you out. When it comes to
Yeah.
playing with somebody like Manic Focus on stage, how do you guys kind of collaboratively find that groove where you can, I don't even know, like subconsciously be able to perform live but not say a spoken word to one another about what you're doing?
It's pretty weird. Like me and J Mac, we're homies, you know. Like he's a really dope dude. We hang out most of the time not making music, like you know, like just kicking it. He's a really good friend. And I don't know, his style of music in a way is a big inspiration to like my style of music in the first place. So like all his like songs and like discography, like I've jammed to, like just like at home, just like for fun before I even met him, you know what I mean? Like uh yeah, he's one of my favorite artists. It's cool to be, it's cool to know him like deeper than just the Manic Focus project at this point. But when it comes to like on stage with him, the first time it ever happened, I think was at Firelights. I could be mistaken. It might have happened in Atlanta. Anyway, either way, whichever time it was the first time, you know, he just like was like, you wanna hop up there like for a couple of tracks? I'll like let you know when it's gonna happen. I was like, bet, yeah, I'm down. You
Yeah,
know, what
pressure's
songs
on.
are you gonna drop? And he'll hit you with the like, oh, we're gonna play an E into a C, you know, a G into a, you know, then we're gonna go B with it, and then like, you know, he does all these key changes in his set. He's like a really good DJ, and I don't know, like I just had to like get up there and like keep up. You know what I mean? It's like that's what it was. It's like it's a sink or swim moment, you know, sometimes on stage. And it doesn't matter like how well you know somebody or like how well you know their music. You don't necessarily know what's coming. And I don't know. It all worked out. It went really good. Every time we've ever played together, it's been fun and exciting. And I feel like it turned out to be what we wanted it to be. But it wasn't like planned or rehearsed or like, you know, it's just true improv when when we hit the stage together. I don't know what he's gonna drop and he doesn't know what I'm gonna play. So it's just like on stage you gotta like find the key of like what you're doing and come up with something. A lot of times with his music it really works well to be put in like almost like guitar fills on in the fourth measure. So like, you know, like it's almost like when a drum player puts a fill to like fill in to the next hit, you know what I mean? Like before the one, like that's almost like where the guitar fits with a lot of his music live, you know. It's like the crowd like wants you to like kind of like diddle with it in that key, and then on the four just like hit something that's like the main like the main thing, the main sound, you know what I mean, the center of attention on the four.
Right.
And like every artist's different. Like when I'm performing guitar with like my music, it's not always like the four like might have something else. Like I like to put like sound design stuff and like the fourth beat of the measure. Like I like to actually have like drum fills or like have like a some sort of like riser that's like made in serum or something. It's like I don't want to like cover that up necessarily with my guitar. Like I've got more room on like the 1 and the 3. But like everybody's music's different, it's like you gotta find sort of like where that groove is. And like I don't know, when it's someone else's performance too and you're just like sitting in, it's like not about you, you know what I mean? It's like you want your partner's performance to be everything that it can be, the absolute best, so it's like you got to think like a studio musician, or like you're tracking on an album for a second. It's not, I don't know, you just got to fit, in there. So you can't do too much with it, you can't do too little. And yeah, I mean you also got to be like respectful to the music and everything, and like make sure you're not covering up like the point or the intention and stuff, like any lyrics. But at the end of the day, it's like getting up on stage with a professional like John, dude, that like you learn a lot. Like that's like, it made me a better guitar player. And it made me feel like more comfortable like sitting in general with friends and stuff. So yeah, I mean, it's always fun. Like try not to overthink it. Just like close your eyes and feel it, and just like hear it and be there, do the thing, I don't
Damn,
know.
dude, you talk about it so nonchalantly. That's stressing me out. It wasn't even up there. I don't know how you guys do it, man. This shit's so crazy to me. I mean,
John's a beast in his own regard on like keys. Like I don't know if you've ever seen him. Sometimes he closes out shows with he has a remix of Flight of the Bumblebee, and he pulls out the keytar and he plays Flight of the Bumblebee, like honestly like stupid fast song, just like
yeah.
on keytar, just like ripping that. Like it's crazy. So like he's a real tight like instrumentalist too, on top of being a great producer and DJ. So anyway.
Well, I mean, don't discredit yourself. I mean, your styles work very well together, and we've seen that on your remix of Manic's and Sodown's track Cliffs. And I mean, you told me earlier you're working on an album right now. We're gonna hear some of those songs at the show. So tell me more about that.
Yeah. Well, the remix of Cliffs by Manic Focus and Sodown, I mean that was a blast. Never in my life have I received such like crispy and perfect stems to work with. Like those were like nice stems to get. Just like it was cool to be doing like a professional like remix. And the process of like making that song was really fun too, because I was doing all these like cool vocal chops and like using all these like new plugins that I've been using on the album. So like I feel like and like I was also like kind of going for like, I wanted it to be like a closing track, like something I could like leave, like a note that I could leave people on as like my like outro, and like it be like a big like like kind of heavy but still lots of guitar moment in my set. So like I kind of made it with like a little bit of like a vision in mind, I guess, for like where it would go and stuff. And the key that it was in was perfect too. It just like really fit into my set. So like that was just like a lot of fun. And then like playing it is a blast too, because the guitar part is like what I want to do live with that song. It's like I enjoy playing that one. And also like as a producer, like I haven't been producing music for like that long, like seriously, like like I've been at this for like 3 maybe 4 years, like seriously, playing shows for like maybe like 2, like seriously shows for like 2. But that song, that remix, was where I felt like I like plateaued in my like production ability. I was like making synth basses that I felt like were clean, that I could be proud of, and the sub was hitting on a big system, like clean, like I could be proud of, and the ratios of how loud everything was with everything else I felt like translated live. I think Phil Salvaggio at Mammoth, ended up mastering it, and that really helped glue it all together. He's a fire engineer when it comes to that. So, you know, it's just really cool to like, I guess, remix that song, and then be able to play it all the time. And then, yeah, the album I've been working on, I guess it's good that it all happened in the chronological order it did, because I felt like I plateaued on that remix, and I was able to take, I guess, like all the things that I've learned and like really figured out how to apply and like make an album like with that knowledge, rather than like vice versa, and have an album that I felt like seemed like still rudimentary when it comes to like my production ability. I feel like this album is going to be like, to me, like something I'm really proud and excited to put out, you know. It's like sometimes up till now, like, and I know people like the tunes and stuff, but like I'm always like insecure about like how they sound or how they'll translate and stuff. But like I feel like I'm really putting out an album that's like solid this time. So
Hell yeah. Dude, I mean, we're all our biggest critics, man. It's always that
yeah.
way.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying. You know, it's like, you know, the same thing's true for me with like people I really like listening to. It's like their early stuff is like maybe like my favorite. Like if you ask them, they'd be like, "Oh, you listen to that? Like, I don't know how it sounds." It's like, no, dude, that's just my favorite. And like I feel like it's always that way. Like an artist just like really focused on like always getting better and like that growth. But like sometimes the fans like really love like that early stuff. So like I'm grateful that so many people have listened to like Soli Q and like, you know, my singles I put out, and then like I just released that EP Energy. And, like it's been a real blessing that people were listening at the whole journey, you know. Like I'm excited to show them, I guess, like the culmination of all the efforts so far.
Yeah, dude. I mean, I feel like people really want to see where you come from and how far you've come. And I think that, you know, with that remix and also this album that you're so proud of, I think that you're in the right place for what you're talking about, man.
Yeah, I'm excited about it, man. Like the album is different too than like anything thus far. There's like a lot of like hip hop roots in it. And like I used to listen to a lot more hip hop when I was in like high school. And then like somewhere I found like electronic music. And I like stopped listening to so much hip hop. Then like real recently, I was like really listening to a lot of hip hop again, and like also some like really cool like glitch hop, and like where like hip hop meet like genres where hip hop really meets electronic, I feel like is really popping off. And I've been really inspired by that. And so this album is very much so like there's even like a song that I like rap on the album. It's like this whole like verse I lay down with this like hook and everything.
Oh shit.
A lot of the album is my voice, um just like, you know, processed and stuff. But like I went down to this record store in Denver called Wax Tracks, and I was digging through like hip hop singles. A lot of times hip hop singles on vinyl have like a B-side that's got like an acapella or something, or like at least it'll have an instrumental version, excuse me, of the same track, and you can phase out everything but the acapella. So it's two ways to get that. And I found this one from this group, this old school like hip hop group, 116 Soldiers. And it's this whole song, it's like talking about like you know, like their lives really. It's like some really like a sick, like it's really cool. And then the hook is like, all day, every day, things don't change, they stay the same. Been on a mission since the 80s, but imitators and player haters, they call me shady. You know, it's like this whole thing. And
Yeah.
it's like I sampled this and like made this whole song about it. And then or like from it. And then there's this other song on the album that is written about going down to Wax Tracks, finding that vinyl, sampling it, like learning about these people's lives, and like also at the same time learning about mine. And like, you know, it's like I wrote this rap that I rapped about the process of sampling that vinyl. So like, you know, this album is like probably the most intentional thing I've ever made musically. So I'm really excited to share it with everybody. I won't have all of it for the show in Columbia, but you know, I'm definitely gonna play like 4, maybe 5 tracks off the album. So it'll
Dude,
be
that sounds
pretty
like
cool.
such like a personal journey. I'm so excited to hear it, bro.
Yeah, I'm
Um,
stoked about it, man. I'm stoked about it.
dude, where can people find your stuff right now?
Uh, Probably the best places are just like SoundCloud and Spotify. I'm all over. Like YouTube is cool, like you know, really anywhere. But hell, I'm even on Audius, which I haven't logged into in like a little bit, but it's kind of a cool platform with a cool idea behind it. So I wanted to, you know, get on there too and just like have the discography there. Bandcamp's great, you know, people who listen to Bandcamp are some of the biggest supporters of, you know, like up and coming musicians and stuff. So, and that's like some of the most like direct like ways to support musicians too. It's just like Bandcamp's pretty sweet,
Yeah,
especially on
absolutely.
Bandcamp Fridays, you know. But
All my
yeah,
homies love Bandcamp.
dude, me too, man. Me too. I like I feel like I do most of my listening like Bandcamp and SoundCloud. I like Spotify too, but and like I like follow a lot of like playlists that are like people I really like their music and then like they make playlists and it's like then I find all this new music and stuff. It's like pretty similar. So it don't matter where you're streaming, you know, it's all good. But yeah, it's like cool to have my music all over, you know.
Yeah, man. Well, I'm stoked for the show. I'm sure everybody else is as well. That's all I have for you. Do you have any comments, questions, concerns, anything to close us out?
No, I appreciate you guys putting the show together and you know, much love to everybody who's buying tickets and like excited to come out. Um, Columbia is, you know, pretty close to home for me. And so I'm hoping to see like a lot of homies out and, you know, rekindle with some, you know, old faces I haven't seen in a while. I'm really excited to see everybody. I'm also excited to see J Mac, play some tunes maybe, and, you know, show you guys what I've been working on. But yeah, I'm just excited to come down there and play. And I think it's going to be an amazing time, you know. I
Yeah, man.
appreciate y'all having us out and you know caring so much about the community and like you guys truly it's clear that you guys truly understand it's you know like what this community is about at its heart and its core and like you know y'all are amplifying that beautifully, so thanks for doing it all for the right reasons, you know.
Listen, y'all, I didn't pay him to say that, but yeah, dude, of course, that's the fucking mission, man. I appreciate that you appreciate it, man.
Yeah, for
Um,
sure, man, for sure.
but yeah, that's all from me. You can follow the podcast at P1 Podcast _ on Instagram and find all the episodes on Spotify, YouTube, and SoundCloud, etc. And you can find all the updates on the Instagram and also follow Player One Productions on Instagram and Facebook. So you can find all the announcements for all the shows coming up. But yeah, until next time, and we'll see you at the show on the 25th.
Right on, man. Yeah, thank you.
1, 2, 3, 4. When you're walking